Alright, well, hello everyone and welcome to my review of the Armitage-class Heavy Escort Carrier. I'm Torvin Echo 24. A lot of you may know me from in-game or in OPVP channels. The reason I'm trying to get some of these reviews out there are basically because the review community on a lot of the Sea Store and fleet ships is rather small considering the hefty price that they tend to carry. And I really want to get out some decent community resources out there regarding their purchase, their performance, their cost efficiency, so on and so forth. I'm really hoping and encouraging that other members of the STO community will kind of pick up the ball on this and get some of their own video opinions out there, excuse me. Essentially because, well, considering you might leave a review on Amazon for an $8 PlayStation game, why wouldn't you leave a review on YouTube for a $25 Star Trek Online ship? It just makes sense if you think about it. Anyway, my reasoning for choosing the Armitage-class Heavy Escort Carrier as my initial ship to review was because it's not only a personal favorite of mine, but is a generally accepted and widely liked vessel in the Star Trek Online community. Alright, so to kick it off, the Armitage class was one of the few Fed-side escorts we saw released to the C-Store, Z-Store, whatever they're calling it now, during Seasons 5 and 6. It is essentially a refit of the early progression Heavy Escort that can be seen while in between levels 20 and 30, I believe. It offers all three of the original Heavy Escort costumes, the Akira, the Solo, and the Zephyr, as well as a totally cryptic original design called the Armitage class, which can be seen here. It's not the prettiest ship ever, but it's definitely got its own hint of uniqueness to it, and I commend Cryptic on their design. Anyway, the Armitage class is the first Fed-side escort of any form to carry a hangar bay, bar in the Jem'Hadar Heavy Escort Carrier, of course. So it really is quite the unique vessel in terms of that. It comes with a completely unique costume set, a completely unique console, and a completely unique ship layout and bridge officer layout. It's definitely one of the heavier escorts in-game, with the second to the bug ship and the steam runner in terms of engineering focus. So it really is an ideal vessel for players who prefer survivability over maneuverability. It, for an escort at least, comes with a very high base hull and base shield stat, like I said, comparable to that of the steam runner. It also comes stock with 3 engineering consoles and 2 science consoles, which is equivalent to that of the Defiant. So you've definitely got a decent amount of room on there for consoles, alloys, and armors. And like I've mentioned before, it is the only Fed-side escort to carry a hangar bay. Hangar bays are a rather new thing that's kind of hit the market as of late, and different hangars allow you to launch different kinds of sport craft. And this really allows you to diversify your gameplay. For example, you could equip the Peregrine fighters, which I've highlighted, for a significant boost to your offensive damage in STFs, or if you're a PvPer, you could use the now highlighted Yellowstone runabouts to slow down and debuff your hostile targets. So hangars really offer a new and diverse kind of gameplay, which many players as of late have made a lot of effort to capitalize on. Aside from its unique hangar and rather run-of-the-mill console and weapon layout, the Armitage class comes with a unique BOF layout. It's essentially the same layout that can be seen on the Multi-Vector Advanced Escort. However, the engineering and science slots are reversed, with the engineering console, or BOF, taking up the lieutenant commander slot, while the science station takes up the lieutenant slot. This particular layout is pretty much ideal for anyone who prefers a survivability or support escort role, as it allows for a massive amount of potential durability or power boosting. It does somewhat regulate your tactical capabilities, as you do not have a lieutenant commander tactical slot as most escorts do, so you do have to get somewhat imaginative in terms of speccing out your tactical skills. However, there's a lot of ways to deal with that. For example, you could use DOFs to universally speed up your cooldowns. You could use Aux to Bat Aux to Bat's a viable option on this ship thanks to the high tiered engineering slot. Or you could use weaponry that does not require any kind of buff to be effective. For example, as you can see here, I run chronoton mines and the kinetic cutting beam on my ship. That allows me to save my limited tactical slots to buff my cannons with cannon rapid fire and my starship maneuverability and overall performance with attack pattern omega. So, in of itself, the Armitage is a very tanky, very durable escort, almost to the point where it earns the title of escort cruiser. The primary downside of the Armitage is that it has a lower impulse modifier than other escorts of its tier, and a slightly below norm turn rate of only 15 degrees per second base. That's compared to the 16 degree per second, base turn of the Steam Runner and the Andorian escorts, and the 17 degree per second base turn of the Defiant. Unfortunately, the low base turn rate makes the Armitage a little bit more difficult to use in 1v1 PvP. However, obviously, through the effective use of hangars, you can counter that disadvantage. So I'm not saying that the Armitage is a difficult or impossible to use ship in 1v1. I would just advise that you get a fair amount of practice in with the vessel before you choose to take it into the queues for such combat. As far as value goes, the Armitage is one of the more high value ships, or high cost efficiency ships, that can be bought on the C-Store, as it comes with its own unique costume, its own unique layout, its own unique console, and its own unique capabilities. It's certainly one of the most cost effective ships you can buy. As you can see in the bottom left of my screen, let me see if I can blow that up for you. My fleet mates are trying very desperately to distract me from what I'm trying to do with this review, and I'm just going to ignore them, but I'll leave that up so they can get a good laugh at themselves when they watch this later. Back to what I was saying. The Armitage comes with its own unique console known as the Photon Torpedo Point Defense System. This is basically an upgrade to the point defense system seen on the Thunderchild-class Heavy Escort refit. Instead of using concentrated phaser weaponry, however, this uses a full salvo of photon torpedoes. I will load up a queue so you can see it in action, but it's certainly one of the better consoles in-game, as it allows for effective spam clearing in PvP, or effective frigate and cruiser clearing in PvE. It's across the board, I messed up my tray, hang on. It's across the board a great console, and unlike most consoles, it can be buffed by attack patterns and other abilities. As you can see, it clearly does 1,960.5 kinetic damage base. However, when I pop an APO3, that damage shoots up to 2,156.6, and it shoots up again marginally when I use Tactical Team. So, when properly buffed, it can be a potentially destructive power. Thanks to its pretty decent layout, the Armitage has a high potential for survivability and DPS capability, making it a viable escort for both a tactical and an engineering captain. It's not exactly what I'd call the most ideal vessel for a science escort, however, I'm not saying it can't be done, it's just not something I'd recommend. Like a lot of the more popular Federation ships, the Armitage does come with a fleet variant that has an extra science console as well as the usual fleet improvement to the base hull and shield stats. That can be quite the advantage, and you can get it quite cheap at only one fleet ship module a pop per tune if you already own the Armitage class from the C-Store, which is a nice thing Cryptic did, because realistically they could have just charged us 4 fleet ship modules even if we already owned the C-Store Armitage, but like they did with all similar class types, they gave the fleet ones a discounted price for owners of their C-Store variants. It's a unusual act of charity in an MMO these days, but I'm not complaining about it. It saved me quite a bit of money. One thing to note about this ship is that considering it has 4 base costumes as well as potential to use the Thunderchild costume, let me see if I can find it. Oh crap, we got to go away. Hang on, let me go down here. Okay, it comes with the 3 Heavy Escort costumes, and it comes with its own Armitage-class costume. But if you own the Thunderchild-class costume from the Heavy Escort refit, that adds a 5th potential costume to your list of options. Add that to the fact that the Armitage can use not only the Type 6 skin that comes default with the ship, as well as the normal Skin 1, Skin 2, Skin 3, and Skin 4 options, plus the fleet skin if you own the fleet variant. That gives the Armitage almost an unparalleled level of customization. I believe it is unparalleled. So basically, you'll never see two Armitages that look directly alike, simply because of how many potential options and combinations there are. That's a pretty nice thing these days, because you get a lot of ships like the Odyssey of the box ships that don't leave much room for player customization at all. So it really does reflect on the old days when every single ship you got, you could trick the crap out of and fly around and stop. Anyway, I believe the last thing I haven't covered is the Photon Torpedo Point Defense Console, which I'm here going to demonstrate against a couple Tholians. As you can see, it fires a massive salvo of photon torpedoes against every target in range, and has the potential to be incredibly destructive. That console is one of my personal favorites, but from a from a neutral standpoint, it's definitely one of the most cost-effective consoles available, definitely outdoing a lot of the ones you'll find in lockboxes in-game. So it's really, in of itself, worth having. As far as cost efficiency on this ship goes, it's definitely one of the more cost-effective ships you can buy, as it comes with its own unique BOF layout, its own unique costume options, its own unique hangar bay, and its own unique console. So you're really getting a pretty good value for your money. Not that you shouldn't for 25 bucks a pop, but it's one of the more price-worthy, if you will, C-store ships to hit the store so far, which is nice. It's, I'm not complaining about that either. So if you're worried about getting your dollar's worth, this is really a good ship to consider, like I said. So anyway, to sum it up, the Armitage is a viable ship for anyone looking for an excellent team support or high survivability tactical or engineering escort. I would not recommend it for science players, or captains looking for a 1v1 or karate ship. However, like I said, I'm not saying it can't be done, I just wouldn't recommend it. In terms of final review, after messing around with it, I got disconnected. I'll have to take care of that. But in terms of a final review, I'd probably rate the Armitage a 9 out of 10. If you want something to base that off of, the only ships I've ever given a 10 out of 10 were the Bug Ship and the Andorian Charl. So it really is, in my opinion, at least a great ship. And obviously you can improve upon that by purchasing the fleet variant. Anyway, thank you for watching. I hope this was helpful, and if it pushed you to buy the Armitage or not to buy the Armitage, feel free to give me a shout in game at TorvinEcho24. And also, like I said, please feel free to pick up the ball and get it going with some video reviews on YouTube, on any other hosting site you can think of, because realistically these ships are a product we are all purchasing, and I really think we should get a habit of posting our feedback out there. The Cryptic forums are a great way to do that. YouTube's a great way to do that. So, like I said, if you need any help getting going or whatever, just give me a shout in game, or feel free to look me up and be like, hey, I saw what you did on YouTube, got my own review going, could you look at it? Anything like that. I'm always up for a little input or whatever. Anyway, take care. I will see you all next time. Thank you for watching.